Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid is visiting Berlin, and he's being accompanied by several Holocaust survivors on this, his first trip to Germany since taking office. Lapid met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and one of the key issues they discussed at their meeting was the nuclear agreement with Iran, a deal that Germany supports and that Israel opposes. Let's take a listen to some of what the German Chancellor had to say just moments ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Russian aggression against Ukraine, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, of course, also was a topic of our discussion. We agree that this blatant breach of international law is unacceptable. The killing in Ukraine must stop. Germany, Europe and Israel, we stand shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine in these difficult times. The impact of Russia's war of aggression can also be felt with regard to rising food and energy prices everywhere. With a joint effort, we are trying to mitigate the impacts of the war. We will also be very happy to cooperate on that with Israel in the field of air defense, where Israel has the Arrow 3 system, a top-notch offer in that regard.
Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz speaking just a little while ago. And let's get some analysis from DW's chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane. Melinda, the disagreements over Iran's nuclear programme were high on Prime Minister Lapid's agenda. Did we see any signs of movement there?
We saw diplomatic statements that the two sides do agree on the central aim that Iran must never get the bomb, never become a nuclear-armed power, but a clear disagreement, ongoing disagreement on how to achieve that goal, with Chancellor Scholz saying very clearly we need an international agreement to get there, whereas Yair Lapid came to Berlin to essentially persuade Chancellor Scholz to convince the other EU member states who are in negotiations with Iran to stop any revitalization of the Iran agreement. The agreement, as you know, was signed in 2015 under the auspices of President Barack Obama at the time, who had also said he believed this is the only way to limit Iran's nuclear ambitions. And President Donald Trump took the U.S. out of it. Since then, there has been, since Joe Biden took the presidency, there has been an ongoing effort on the part of the Western signatories to the agreement to try to get a revitalized agreement going once again. And they thought they were close to achieving that until 4 to 6 weeks ago, when the EU3, as they're called, made new proposals, and Chancellor Scholz said Iran could have agreed to these, but has not given us a signal that they will. And therefore, apparently there is a sense in Brussels and here in Berlin that the prospects for success are receding. Nonetheless, Chancellor Scholz is very clear there that he stays with the idea that an international agreement with Iran is the only way to achieve this end.
And that Iran must not get nuclear weapons. He was very clear about that. Can I ask you about something quite different? When Yair Lapid started speaking, he launched into his words with a very personal statement saying that he, as the Israeli Prime Minister, he is the son of a Holocaust survivor. And of course, there are several Holocaust survivors with him in his delegation. How significant is that?
It's very significant. And in fact, he said something similar when he landed in Germany. He was welcomed by a German military guard. And he said afterwards, this is a victory for all of us, a victory for Germany, a victory for me as a Holocaust survivor, and a victory for our country, Israel, that we can have close relations with Germany. And Chancellor Scholz had also, of course, paid tribute to this close relationship in his opening remarks. And Yair Lapid will be going, together with survivors of the Holocaust who have accompanied him on this trip, not only to the Holocaust Memorial here in the heart of Berlin, but also out to the Wannsee, to a beautiful lake in Potsdam, about 30 minutes from Berlin, where Nazi leaders agreed on the so-called final solution exactly 80 years ago. In meeting in a beautiful villa on that lake, they decided on the extermination of the Jews. And clearly that, too, for him, very, very meaningful to be in this country that is now a close ally of Israel and which perpetrated the Shoah.
Absolutely. DW's chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane, thank you for that analysis.